Welcome. Tonight you're invited into a story shaped by memory, snowfall, and love that never quite let go. This is The Snowfall That Spoke My Name, a romantic sleep story meant to carry you gently into rest. Before we begin, take a moment to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments where you're listening from tonight. Your support helps us keep telling stories like this one, slow, quiet, and full of feeling. Now, close your eyes, breathe deeply, and let the snow begin to fall. The first flake finds you in the quietest moment. You're standing just outside the train station, your breath forming soft clouds in the cold. The world has not yet surrendered to winter, but you feel it coming. There's a stillness that always precedes it, like a held breath or a pause before a confession. You pull your coat tighter around you and look up. The sky is pale, gray as forgotten parchment. Then, like a secret finally spoken, the snow begins to fall. You've always known when it would happen, not by forecasts or calendars, but by something else, something quieter and stranger. A feeling behind your ribs, like a door creaking open inside your chest. The snowfall never comes on the same date, and yet you are always ready. You cross the platform without a glance at the arrivals board. It's never about the train, not really. You don't remember what excuse you gave this year, a work trip perhaps, or a sudden need for solitude. People rarely ask for explanations when your eyes are this far away. Your boots crunch softly as you leave the station behind. There is no one else around, and you're grateful. The first snowfall belongs to you, always has. The path is mostly invisible now, covered in white, but you remember it well, the way it curves past the stone wall with the ivy, past the small bridge that arches over the stream. Each step is an echo, each corner a return. The snow thickens as you walk, like it's trying to veil you from the world you left behind. At first, there is only silence. Then, faintly, so faintly you wonder if it's memory more than sound, you hear it. A wind that doesn't quite feel like wind. Not harsh, not cold. It's warmer than it should be, almost like a sigh or a voice whispering. You stop walking. For a moment, you don't breathe. The snow is falling harder now, heavy and soft and slow, like it knows it's being watched. It gathers in your hair, your lashes. You close your eyes, and you swear you hear your name. It isn't possible. You know that you are alone. This is just a place outside the town, past the train station, where the snow always falls heavier than anywhere else. It's not on any map, not anymore. But you also know that it isn't just a place. Not for you. It hasn't been since that night. You reach the gate first, iron, rusted, still leaning the same awkward way it always did. You push it open and it groans in protest, the sound breaking the hush of snowfall like a wounded thing. You wince. Then you step through. The woods are denser here. The snow hangs heavy on every branch, and the sky is nearly gone from view. All you can see is white and memory. You were 17 the first time you came here. He brought you. He told you there was a village that only appeared in the snow. You didn't believe him, of course, but you followed him anyway, laughing as the snow soaked your mittens, catching flakes on your tongue, pretending not to shiver when he pulled off his scarf and wrapped it around your neck instead. You remember the way he looked at you then, like you were something rare, something sacred, like he couldn't know that you would one day walk away from him without explanation. You were 24 when you did. It had rained that night. Not snow, not then, just rain. You met him under the old clock tower like you promised. He had a ring. You had silence. You didn't say no. You didn't say yes. You didn't say anything at all. You just turned and left. By morning, the village was gone, like it had never existed. No one remembered it, not even those who swore they'd lived there once. But you remembered, and every year since, on the day the first flake fell, you've returned, hoping, searching, wishing for the impossible. You're not sure what made you come back again. Not really. You tell yourself you're looking for closure, but the truth is messier than that. The truth is, some part of you hopes he's still here, that the snow has kept him safe, or maybe that he's become part of it, that he is the whisper on the wind. You walk deeper now, the woods giving way to something else, an open stretch, a slope, and then there it is, the village. You stop breathing again. It's exactly as you remember. Stone cottages with curling chimneys, warm yellow light glowing behind frost-covered panes, the crooked sign that reads Eider Hollow, swinging gently in the windless air, and beyond it, the hill that rises toward the old clock tower, its face frozen at the very minute you last saw him. A knot catches in your throat. You walk slowly, like approaching a dream, afraid that moving too quickly will shatter it. The snow doesn't fall here like it does outside the gate. It hangs differently, thicker, more luminous, as though the air itself remembers. No one comes out to greet you, no footsteps in the snow, but the village is warm, alive. A curl of smoke lifts from each chimney. You feel it, the hum of something ancient, something watching. Your heart starts to pound. You pass the bakery, still there, still carrying the scent of cinnamon and something richer, like roasted chestnuts. The smell nearly stops you, but you keep walking. You don't dare go in. Not yet. You pass the inn. The sign is new, or not new exactly, but polished, restored. Someone has been caring for it. The lantern above the door flickers gently. You almost call out, but then you see it, tied to the post outside the old chapel. A scarf. His scarf. The green one with the stitched edge. The one he never let anyone borrow except you, that first year, when the snow had melted into your hair and you'd pretended you weren't cold. Your knees nearly give out. You reach for it with shaking hands. The wool is damp from snow but warm beneath it, like someone has only just tied it there. You bury your face in it and close your eyes. He's here. He has to be. You turn in place, scanning the street, but it's still empty, still silent. And yet, you hear it again. Your name, spoken not as a call but a question. Soft, familiar, devastating. Your breath catches, you spin toward the voice. But there's no one there. Only snow, only silence. And yet, the air feels different, as if the moment is holding itself, waiting. You step forward, one foot, then another. A shadow moves across the far end of the street, tall, slender, gone in an instant. You run now. Your heart is a storm. Your hands tremble. You reach the end of the lane. No one. Only footprints. Fresh. Leading toward the hill. Toward the clock tower. You don't hesitate. You follow. The snow thickens again, but you no longer mind. Each flake feels like a memory brushing your skin, a reminder, a promise. You don't know what you'll find at the top of the hill, but you know who you're hoping for. You speak his name into the wind, almost afraid to hear it echo. It doesn't, but the snow answers. It swirls around you faster now, and as it dances, it hums. Not a sound, not exactly. A memory. A vow, a love you never truly left behind. And maybe, just maybe, it never left you either. The footprints lead you upward. Every step you take sinks deeper into snow that has no business being this thick, this soft, this warm, as though it's been waiting just for you, as if the snowfall has memory and desire too. Your lungs ache by the time you reach the crest of the hill, but you don't stop. You can't. There, just ahead, the clock tower rises like a quiet sentinel against the gray sky, its hands still fixed at 7:46, the exact time you last saw him, the last time the village existed for you. But it isn't just the clock tower that holds your attention now. There's a figure, not far ahead, still, back turned to you. You stop walking. The world narrows around that shape, tall, broad-shouldered, unmoving, as though time itself pauses to let you see. You don't dare speak. The wind hushes, the snow falling in slower, thicker spirals. You take one careful step forward, and the snow crunches underfoot like a breath held too long. He doesn't turn. Not yet. You wait. Frozen not by the cold, but by the weight of every year that has led to this moment. You feel them all behind you, like invisible hands pressed against your back. Every return, every snowfall, every silent apology that never found its voice. You whisper his name. The sound leaves your mouth like steam, and the figure turns. It isn't him. Your breath falters. A stranger, not older, not younger, simply wrong. His eyes are kind, curious, but not the storm-colored eyes you remember. He tilts his head slightly, and then smiles, as if he knows exactly who you are. "You're late," he says. The words startle you, not because of their content, but their tone, casual, almost amused. You open your mouth to ask who he is, but the question dies on your lips. He gestures toward the village behind him. "You've been expected. I thought," you begin, but you stop. You don't know how to finish that sentence. You thought this place was gone. You thought he was still here. You thought you'd be alone. The man turns fully and begins walking away. "Come," he says, not looking back. "There's something you need to see." You follow, because of course you do. The hill bends into a soft slope, and as you descend with him, the village unfolds like a storybook someone has only just remembered to open. Cottages you haven't seen in a decade rise out of the snow. A soft light glows from within them, warm, inviting, utterly unchanged. There is no decay, no overgrowth, no sign of years past. It is exactly as it was. That's the strangest part. You feel, suddenly, like you never left. And perhaps you didn't. Not entirely. You pass the bookshop, its windows fogged with breath and age, though it looks well kept inside. The wooden door bears the same painted bell chime he carved with a penknife, a bell he never quite tuned. You remember the sound of it, soft, mournful, never quite ringing true. You pause, but the stranger doesn't stop. "Not there," he says, glancing over his shoulder. "Not yet." You hurry to catch up, unsure why you're obeying him. Maybe it's the way he moves calm, like someone who knows the ending before the story begins. He leads you to the village green, and there in the center sits the bench. Your bench, where the two of you used to sit each time you visited, where you'd eat roasted chestnuts from the paper bag he always bought from the woman with the lazy eye and the cheerful laugh, where your hands first touched, where he first told you he'd loved you. You walk toward it almost reverently. It's dusted with snow, but you brush it clean with a gloved hand. Then you see something tucked beneath the bench, slats something folded. A note. You kneel, heart hammering, and pull it free. It's a small slip of parchment, yellowed but dry, as if protected from time. Your name is written on it, not typed, not printed, handwritten, his handwriting. Your knees go weak again. You sit down hard on the bench, hands trembling as you unfold the paper. The words are short, barely a sentence, and yet your vision blurs when you read them. If the snow brings you back, I'll be waiting. E. You press the paper to your chest. The stranger stands a few paces away, not speaking, not rushing you. Snow gathers on his shoulders, but he makes no move to brush it off. When did he leave this? You finally ask, voice hoarse. The man shrugs. Hard to say. Things here don't happen the same way they do out there. You look up. What do you mean? He smiles gently. You're in a place made of memory and want, of the moments people wish they could have lived differently. This village remembers. Your pulse stutters. I thought it was just me who remembered. He shakes his head. No, this place does. So do others. Others? There are always others. People who walk away, who lose things, who come back. People like you. You let your gaze drift back to the note in your hands. You smooth the crease gently with your thumb. The ink hasn't smudged. It's as if it were written yesterday, or tomorrow. I left him, you say quietly. The stranger nods once, solemn. Yes, I didn't even say goodbye. Another nod. I was afraid. Of what? You don't answer right away. You're not sure you can. Of being loved that much, you whisper finally. Of not being enough for it. The man's eyes soften. He never asked you to be perfect, just to be there. You close your eyes. The words land harder than you expect, because you know they're true. He didn't want grand declarations. He didn't need a promise scrawled across the sky. He just wanted you to stay. And you didn't. The silence stretches. Then the man says, you should go to his house. You'll find more answers there. You look at him sharply. He's here? The man doesn't respond, only turns, gestures again. This way. You hesitate. The snow swirls around you in a tighter circle, brushing your cheeks like fingertips, like a memory come alive. Then you rise. Because you need to know. Because this time you aren't turning away. He leads you through a back lane, one you remember well, past the stone wall where he once kissed you with snowflakes caught in his hair, past the hollow tree where you left a message for him, scratched into bark that grew over too quickly, and finally to the cottage. His cottage, still standing, still warm. There's smoke in the chimney, light in the window. You step closer, heart in your throat. The man stops a few feet from the door. This is where I leave you, he says. You look at him. Will I see you again? Maybe. Who are you? He smiles. Someone who once forgot to say what mattered, like you. Then he turns and walks away, vanishing into the snow without another word. You stand alone. The door before you is wood, painted deep green, the same as his scarf. You remember how it creaked when he opened it, how he'd leave it cracked in summer to let in the scent of lilacs. You lift your hand, then pause. Your fingers hover near the knob. The snow hushes everything. Inside this house could be truth, or memory, or just emptiness. But you have to know. You close your fingers around the doorknob, and slowly, gently, you push it open. You don't breathe at first. You stand in the doorway, your hand still on the knob, as if the air inside might break if you enter too quickly. It smells like memory old wood, faint citrus, a lingering curl of smoke from a fire long burned down. It smells like him. Your boots sink into a mat that's worn but clean. As the door swings shut behind you, the snow is sealed out, and the hush of the outside world is replaced with a deeper silence, one that feels lived in, not abandoned. You take a step forward. The floorboards creak in a way that tugs at your heart. It's the same sound you heard each time he walked from the kitchen to the window to watch the snowfall. You told him once it sounded like the house was sighing. He told you the house was just tired of pretending not to listen. Your gaze drifts across the small front room. The armchair is still angled toward the fire. The hearth is cold now, but there are ashes in the grate, recent. The kindling has been swept neatly to one side. There's no dust on the mantel. Someone has been here, not years ago, recently, today, maybe even minutes ago. Your fingers trail across the back of the armchair. There's a worn patch on the right arm where his elbow used to rest. He'd sit with a book in one hand, tea balanced dangerously on the window ledge. He never spilled it, not once. He used to joke that the snow taught him to be careful. It covered everything too quickly to undo mistakes. You move toward the small table in the center of the room. There are 2 mugs, one empty, one half full. Steam still curls faintly from the surface. You blink. Your pulse climbs. You aren't alone. You spin toward the hallway. It's narrow, dim, the wallpaper faded with time. A coat hangs on the hook near the door, his coat, the one you used to steal when yours was too thin. You'd wrap yourself in it and tease him that it smelled like ink and pine needles. He never told you to give it back. Your voice catches in your throat. Hello? It comes out small, unsure, a word shaped more by hope than belief. No answer. But the house doesn't feel empty. It feels paused. Like someone just stepped out of the room and might return any moment. The kind of silence that bends around breath. You move deeper, down the hallway, past the mirror you once glanced in while laughing, cheeks flushed with cold, past the kitchen, where you'd helped peel apples for winter pies you never finished eating, past the spot where he kissed your temple while pretending not to ask you to stay. You reach the door at the end. The bedroom. You hesitate. Your hand hovers near the handle, but you don't open it. Not yet. Instead, you look down. There, just at your feet, is a footprint. It's unmistakable, clear, deep, fresh. Someone was just here. You crouch. The print is wide, the heel firm, the ball pressed in just slightly, like someone used to walking slowly, not rushing. Someone moving like the air itself, patient, present. You glance down the hall again. More prints, trailing toward the back door. You follow. Your breath is shallow now, every step landing like a question. Am I about to find him? The back door is unlatched. Slightly ajar, a breeze curls through the gap, brushing your skin with icy fingers. But there's something else, too, the scent of pine, of snowfall, of something old and familiar that catches in your chest like grief. You push the door open. Outside, the snow has stopped falling. The sky is lavender now, dusk creeping in at the edges of the world. But the footprints continue, clear and certain, leading from the steps down the small garden path to the frozen pond where you once danced together beneath the stars. You step out. The cold bites at your cheeks, but you don't care. You follow the trail. Each step is a memory rising. You see him again, younger, grinning, arms outstretched as he dared you to skate across the thin sheet of ice. You'd both slipped and fallen, laughing until your ribs hurt. Later, he carried you home when your ankle twisted. You didn't even have to ask. You reach the pond. The footprints stop here. There's a single indentation at the edge of the ice, like someone stood watching for a long time, but nothing else. No sign of him. No movement, only the pond, smooth and silver under the darkening sky. You kneel beside the last footprint, and then you see it, etched into the frost on the surface of the ice words, faint, delicate, as though written by a fingertip or a breath. You lean closer. Do you remember what you promised? Your throat closes. Because yes, you do. You promised to return, no matter what. You promised it before you left. Before the night under the clock tower, you made a vow not aloud, not even to him, just silently, under your breath, a whisper only the snow could hear, that if the village ever reappeared, you'd come back. And now here you are, but it feels unfinished, like the story's waiting for something more. You press your palm to the ice. It's cold, but not unbearably so, not dangerous. You feel a hum beneath it, not sound, not movement, just presence, as if something rests below, watching, listening. Then a voice, not spoken aloud, not even quite in your head, but real. Not yet, but soon. You fall back onto the snow. You don't scream. You don't run. You simply sit there, stunned, because the voice wasn't unfamiliar. It was his, not a memory, not imagined, not the echo of a daydream. It was him, and he is near. Alive? You don't know. Not in the way you once understood the word, but real, present. You rise slowly. Your breath comes in clouds. Your legs ache with cold, but your heart feels louder than anything. You walk back to the house. You don't notice the light snowfall beginning again. The wind has stilled. The world is quiet. You step inside and close the door behind you. Something is different now. The fire has been lit. You freeze. It wasn't burning before, and there, placed gently on the table beside the chair, is a second note. Folded, waiting. You cross the room like someone sleepwalking. You lift the paper with trembling hands. And read. We only lose what we forget. Come to the place where the trees hold the stars. Midnight. I'll be there. You lower the note slowly. Your pulse roars in your ears. The place where the trees hold the stars. You remember it. Of course you do. The clearing, north of the village, where the trees open just enough to let you both lie down and look up at the constellations. You used to name them after stories you hadn't lived yet. He once told you he could see your whole future in those stars, but that he wouldn't spoil the ending. Midnight. You glance at the clock on the wall. It ticks. Somehow, it ticks. And it reads 11. 3. You have less than an hour. The snow thickens outside once more, but you aren't afraid of it now. You go to the door, wrap yourself in his coat, and step back into the night. You step outside into a world made of silver. The snow glows faintly beneath your boots, casting back the light of the moon. It's almost too bright for night, as though the world has been caught between waking and sleep. Time doesn't feel real anymore. It hangs around you like a curtain, soft, weightless, rippling if you move too quickly. You don't. You walk carefully, quietly, the way one might through a cathedral, reverent, watchful, breath held like a prayer. You don't want to disturb it. He asks you to come to the place where the trees hold the stars. And you remember the way. You could find it blindfolded. Even now, after all these years, it was your place, long before you knew how important it would become. The night air is sharp, but inside his coat you're warm. It still fits like it was made for you. The sleeves slightly too long, the collar high, the wool thick and holding on to the faintest scent of pine and something darker ink maybe, or cedar wood. You close your eyes for a moment and breathe it in like you're breathing him. You almost forget where you are, but then a gust of wind brushes past you, and this time it isn't cold. It carries something else, a sound, not music, not speech, not quite, but something almost a voice, almost a word. It curls around your ear and you turn, but there's no one there. Only trees, only snow, only the path ahead, winding through memories too large to name. You keep walking. The footprints you left earlier are already gone, filled in by fresh snow. The world behind you is being erased as you move forward. You don't mind. It means you can't go back. And for the first time, you don't want to. You pass the well where he used to toss coins and say they weren't wishes, just reminders, each one a moment he didn't want to forget. You pass the crooked fence you once leaned against while watching him fix a lantern. You pass the old elm tree with the carved initials, now worn and softened by time. The village is silent, not dead, just waiting. Everything here feels like it's waiting. You reach the edge of the green and slip between two trees where the path narrows into the forest. The trees close in, their branches dusted in snow that doesn't fall. Everything is still, like a painting. No sound but your breath. Until, there it is again. Your name. Soft, slower this time, drawn out like the wind is trying to remember how it feels on its tongue. You freeze. It doesn't come from behind. It comes from ahead. And it sounds like him. Not a memory, not a dream, not a wish, but real. Spoken. Alive. You start walking faster. You know this part of the woods. You and he used to come here in the evenings, slipping away with blankets and thermoses full of cocoa, pretending the trees were the edge of the world. He once told you they were the arms of giants, stretching up to cradle the stars. You'd laughed then. But now, looking up at the narrow strip of sky above you, it no longer seems like a metaphor. It feels true. Everything here feels like it's more than it seems. The path widens slightly, and you recognize the curve of the land ahead. Just over that rise, the clearing. Your feet move faster now. You crest the hill, your heart thudding like it's trying to break free. And then you see it. The clearing. Circular, perfect, ringed by tall pines whose tops vanish into starlight. And above Yuski. Not night. Not exactly. Something brighter. Wider. The stars here shine sharper than they do outside the village, as if the sky has dropped lower just for this moment, just for you. The snow in the clearing is untouched. No footprints, no marks, only stillness. And yet, he's here. You feel it before you see anything. The way the air hums, the way your skin pricks as though being watched by something kind. You step into the clearing. It's like stepping inside a dream you forgot you had. You don't call out. You don't need to. You know this part always comes on its own terms. You walk slowly to the center. You kneel. And you wait. Your breath forms clouds in front of you, drifting up like little ghosts. You tilt your head back and stare at the stars, letting the memories rise. The night he first brought you here, he asked what you were most afraid of. You told him, after a long pause, forgetting, and he nodded, like he understood that more than he wanted to. He told you, the snow remembers what people won't. You hadn't known what he meant, but maybe now you do, because it feels like the snow has remembered. It remembered the path, the house, the scarf, the letter, the words carved in frost, and it has brought you here, to the place where the trees hold the stars. You glance at your watch. 11:54. You're early, but only just. And then the wind returns, softer this time, slower. It circles you once, and then settles. You hold your breath, and from behind, not in front, not beside, but from behind, just behind your right shoulder, you hear it. His voice, clear, quiet, like it always was. I was starting to think you wouldn't come. You don't turn immediately, because you need to hold on to this moment, this sliver of time where the world hasn't moved forward yet, where the snow and the stars and the silence are all still holding their breath with you. You close your eyes, and then you say the only thing you can. I never stop trying. A pause, and then, I know. You turn, slowly, carefully, and there he is, standing just inside the ring of trees, exactly as you remember, or not exactly. There's something different, older maybe, or quieter, like someone who has been waiting a very long time in a place where time does strange things to the heart. He's wearing the same coat he always did, but the scarf is missing, because you have it. You both notice this at the same time. His eyes flick to your neck and then back to your face. He smiles, and you forget how to breathe. You kept it, he says. You nod. I couldn't let it go. He steps forward. One step, then another. The snow doesn't crunch beneath his feet. It accepts him, welcomes him. And when he reaches you, he doesn't touch you. Not yet. He just looks at you, like he's memorizing you all over again. I waited, he says quietly. I know, you whisper. I tried not to be angry. I tried to understand. You lower your eyes. I don't expect you to forgive me. He tilts his head and says simply, but I do. Your breath catches. I was afraid, you murmur. He nods. I know. I didn't know how to stay. He steps closer. But you found your way back. You finally look up. The stars are brighter now. The clearing glows. And in that light, you see not a ghost, not a memory, but him, real, present, somehow more alive than anyone you've seen outside this place in years. You reach for his hand, and he takes it, warm, solid, steady. He squeezes once, and then he says, the snow spoke your name. The clock tower looms above you, just as it did that night. Its long shadow stretches down the hill, cutting the snow in half like a knife through silence. You stand beside him again, your hand still in his, the clearing behind you like a dream half remembered, the stars now softening behind drifting clouds. You're not sure how you got here. One moment, you were holding his hand in the clearing. The next, you were standing at the edge of the village square, and the tower was waiting. Time does strange things here. But then, time did strange things to the two of you long before this place. He doesn't speak, and neither do you. There's too much held between your joined fingers, too many words neither of you can name yet. The silence is no longer heavy. It feels like something sacred, like space that has been earned. The wind sighs softly through the tower's wooden beams. You both look up at the clock face, still frozen. 7:46. That moment again, the one you never escaped. You feel it, thick as snowfall. That night, that hour, the weight of your silence. I thought you'd never come, he says. You nod, not looking at him. I didn't know I was allowed to. His smile is faint, sad. You always were. You take a step forward, boots crunching on the stone path that leads to the base of the tower. The bell above is dark now, silent, the pull rope looped and tucked like a secret never told. He follows, his footsteps echoing beside yours. You remember the first time he brought you here. You were still young then, barely out of school, your fingers trembling from nerves when he brushed your hand with his as you stood beneath the tower. You had watched the second hand tick slowly toward the minute, trying to pretend you weren't hoping he'd kiss you. He didn't. Not then. He waited. You hadn't known then how rare that was. You hadn't known a lot of things. You stopped just below the tower, looking up at the beam that supports the clock housing. The wood is still etched with the initials you carved together, a clumsy heart around 2 letters. Your glove brushes over them now, carefully, reverently, like tracing the edge of something holy. I thought it would fade, you say softly. I thought the snow would cover it, or time would take it. Time doesn't take things here, he replies. No, I guess it just holds them. He exhales. The sound is low, worn almost a laugh. I've been here, he says, for longer than I know how to measure. You turn to look at him. His face isn't exactly how you remember it. It's still his, still beautiful, but there's something softened now, aged not in years, but in experience. Like the snow has been shaping him the same way it's shaped everything else in this place, gently, persistently, without permission. I thought you were gone, you whisper. I thought you'd come back sooner, he says. That lands between you like the softest kind of ache, a memory-shaped sorrow that doesn't need to be said aloud. I didn't know how to return, you admit. I didn't know if I'd be welcome, if the village would remember me. He steps closer. It remembered. You can't meet his eyes. Not yet. Instead, you look out over the village below. The rooftops are blanketed in snow, soft hills of white under moonlight. Lamps glow faintly in the windows of houses that don't seem real anymore, their warmth impossible, like they're made of light and memory and nothing else. I was going to ask you to marry me, he says. You close your eyes. I know. I had the ring in my pocket, he continues, voice steady. I kept checking it all day, making sure I hadn't lost it. I was so nervous, not because I thought you'd say no, but because I wanted the words to come out right. You inhale slowly. The air is sharp. He continues, quieter now. I waited under this tower for an hour, then 2. I told myself maybe you'd gotten lost, or were late, or maybe you were playing a joke. I kept thinking she wouldn't leave me without saying goodbye. You finally speak. I didn't think I was worth it. His head tilts slightly. I loved you, he says. You were worth everything. The words hit you like wind. You sit on the old bench nearby, the one you never sat on together, and finally look up at him. I thought if I said yes, it would mean I'd never be able to leave, you say. And part of me wanted to leave. Not because I didn't love you. I did. God, I did. But I was scared of what it meant to belong to something. To someone. You were never mine, he says gently. You were only ever with me. That was enough. You feel something tremble behind your ribs. I couldn't find the words, you murmur. I waited for them. And when you disappeared, I didn't, he says simply. The village did. You shake your head, looking away. That doesn't make sense. It doesn't have to. You let that hang for a moment. Then you ask, are you real? It's a foolish question. You know it. You've held his hand. You've heard his voice. But still, you have to ask. Because this place obeys its own rules. Because dreams can wear the faces of the people we miss most. He kneels in front of you, takes your hands, and says, does it matter? You search his eyes, and realize it doesn't. Not now, not here. Because love like this doesn't need permission or reason. It just is. You lean forward, pressing your forehead to his, and whisper, "I'm sorry I left." He doesn't say, "I forgive you." He doesn't have to. Instead, he murmurs, "Do you remember what you said to me that night before you ran?" You search for the memory. It's hazy, fogged by years. But then, yes, just before you turned away, before you let fear win, you had looked at him and said, "If the snow ever remembers me, I'll come back." He smiles. You kept your promise. The clock above you creaks suddenly, a groan of old wood and older time. You both look up. The hands begin to move. Slowly, the second hand ticks. Then the minute. 7:47, 7:48. You gasp. It's never moved before, you say. He nods. The story's changing. You stand together, watching as the clock moves forward. 1 minute, 2, 3. Time, after all this stillness, begins again. He squeezes your hand. You look at him and feel the ache loosen. "I don't know what happens next," you say. He exhales, a breath like a smile. "That's the best part." The clock tower keeps ticking behind you. Soft, deliberate, a sound you never thought you'd hear again. You turn from it slowly, the way you might turn from a dream you're afraid to wake from. The snow continues to fall, delicate as breath, brushing your cheeks, collecting along your shoulders. Beside you, he is silent. There's no need to speak. You walk together, hand in hand, down the gentle slope that leads back to the square. Neither of you hurries. The air feels thick with memory, not heavy, exactly, but weighted, like a quiet filled with the presence of everything left unsaid. And yet something else is there too now, something new. The clock has started again. Time has moved. It means something. The village, once frozen in grief, has stirred. You feel it under your skin, in the way the lanterns seem to glow brighter, in the slight hum that lives just beneath the silence. The snow falls a little differently now, not urgently, not ominously, but with intention. It wants something. You feel it in your bones. And then, you both stop at the edge of the square. Your gaze drops. There, in the center of the path between you and his house, is a patch of disturbed snow, fresh, unnatural. Your heart stutters. You step forward slowly. The flakes have settled into the shape of something rectangular, not large, the size of a book or a letter. You crouch, brush away the loose snow, and reveal a pale envelope. No postmark, no stamp, just a name, yours. Not your full name, not your last name, just your first, the way only he ever wrote it. You glance up at him, startled, but he's frowning. "I didn't leave that." Your pulse races. You turn it over. No seal, just the fold, slightly wet from the snow but intact. Your fingers tremble as you open it. Inside, a single sheet of paper, handwritten, the same handwriting as always, unmistakable, but the date in the corner curls inside your chest like a question set on fire. Dated, this year. You glance up again. He looks pale, still, but not surprised, as if he suspected something like this might happen. You read, "If she finds this, tell her I never stopped waiting. Tell her the snow remembers, that the village remembers, and that I remember, even if I'm not always allowed to. If she's reading this, it means she came back, and it means the story isn't finished yet." You lower the page. your breath caught somewhere between a gasp and a prayer. "It's you say softly, as if needing to convince yourself. "This is your writing." He nods. "But you didn't leave it?" "No." "Then how?" His voice is gentler now. "Things appear here when they're needed." You press your palm flat against the page, as though you could feel the warmth of when it was written, but it's cold. Not lifeless, just recent, but not now. "Do you remember writing this?" He hesitates, then shakes his head. "No." "But it's your hand." "Yes." You stand slowly, brushing snow from your knees, and look around. The village is silent. Windows glow, chimneys puff, but not a soul stirs. You say, almost to the air, "Why now?" And again, like an answer you hadn't expected to come, the wind picks up, only slightly. It curls around you both like a ribbon. And then another sound, distant, soft, chimes. The bell from the old chapel. You both turn toward it. It doesn't ring on its own. It never has. He looks at you, eyes unreadable. Someone's inside. Your heart beats once, hard, then again, and then you move. Together, you walk across the square toward the chapel, its small wooden doors tucked beneath a steep, snow-covered roof. The steps are icy, but you take them one at a time, steady, feeling each board creak beneath your weight. The door is slightly ajar. A flickering light glows from within. You glance at him again. He nods. You push it open. The chapel is empty, or almost. A single candle burns on the altar, and beside it, another envelope. You walk to it slowly. This one bears his name. He steps forward before you can call him, lifts it with slow, careful fingers, opens it. You wait. He reads silently for a long moment, and when he looks up, his face is unreadable. "What is it?" you whisper. He hands you the page. You read. She doesn't know everything, and neither do you. What happened that night wasn't only your choice. You turned away, but someone turned you. Go to the willow tree, where the snow runs deepest. There, you'll remember what the storm tried to steal. You blink. The willow? He nods. Down past the river bend. You know it. Of course you do. You once sat beneath its long, curling branches and read poetry aloud while he rested his head in your lap, eyes half closed in a winter sunbeam. It was a place of warmth, of safety, and now it calls to you again. But there's something tight in your chest. "What does it mean?" you whisper. "Someone turned me." He doesn't answer, because he doesn't know. You both stand in the stillness of the chapel for a long moment. Then he folds the page, tucks it into his coat pocket, and offers his hand again. You take it, and walk out into the snow. The path to the willow is narrow. The snow deepens as you go, up to your ankles, then calves, then knees. It slows you, forces you to move carefully, deliberately. The trees here are older, wider, silent witnesses to things no one speaks of. And then you see it, the willow. Its branches droop under the weight of snow, bowed like a head in mourning. The river is frozen now, a mirror of stars. You step under the tree's long arms, and a memory rushes forward, not gently, but all at once. You're standing under the clock tower again, but it's raining this time, not snow, a downpour. You're soaked, shivering. He's waiting for you, but someone else is there, a voice behind you, soft, urgent, kind, telling you don't go, telling you he'll hurt you, telling you he'll leave first. telling you you're not strong enough to love someone like that. And you believed them. You turned away, not just because of fear, but because someone whispered a lie sweetly enough for you to believe it. You gasp, back under the willow, snow brushing your face. Your knees buckle. He catches you before you fall. "What did you see?" he asks, breath shallow. You look up at him, eyes wet with more than snow. "Someone changed the way I remembered that night." He holds you tighter. "It wasn't just me. It wasn't just you." You nod, and the wind answers. The snow slows, and then stops. The village is still, as though it too is holding its breath. And somewhere behind you, a bell chimes once more. The walk back to his house is silent, not because there's nothing to say, but because some truths need to settle before they can be spoken. Your boots sink into fresh snow, the wind doesn't blow. The trees stand motionless, branches heavy with silence. You clutch his hand tighter than before. The willow's memory still echoes in your body. The voice, the lie, the moment that never belonged to you, shaped and slipped into place like a stolen key. You were not alone that night, and now the memory is no longer just yours. You can feel it in him too, the ache, the weight of realizing how close you came to something that wasn't your choice. He hasn't let go of your hand since the clearing. You don't want him to. The village seems quieter as you re-enter it, as though watching, waiting, holding back its breath to see what you'll do with what you've learned. The lanterns flicker as you pass them. Shadows move, but only because the light trembles, not because anyone stirs within. You feel like you're walking through a world made of ash and gold. Everything fragile, everything holy. And then you reach it again. His house. It stands just as you left it. As if the past hour, the clock tower, the chapel, the letters, the willow never happened at all. You pause at the door. He doesn't move. Then quietly he says, "It's different now." You nod. You both feel it. There's something inside the house now that wasn't there before. Not a person, not a presence, but a truth. And truths tend to wait behind doors. You reach for the handle, and this time it's warm under your glove, like it knows you now, like the house is less a structure and more a memory of a place, one that's finally ready to remember you back. You push the door open, and the first thing you notice is the light. Soft, golden, glowing, candlelight. Dozens of small flames shimmer across shelves, tables, windowsills. No electricity, no bulbs, just wax and fire. You step inside and close the door behind you. The warmth wraps around you instantly, thick as a wool blanket. It smells of cedar and lavender, of parchment and soot, and something else. Something like the ghost of tea, poured hours ago and left untouched. The fire crackles low in the hearth. The mugs on the table are gone, replaced by two more fresh, full steaming. No sound except the gentle pop of flame and the distant groan of the wood settling beneath its own story. He steps beside you, and then ahead, as though the house calls him to move first. You follow him through the narrow corridor. The wallpaper hasn't changed, still green with thin vines curling up toward the ceiling, still the same faded edge where sun used to fall in strips through the window. The bedroom door waits at the end. He opens it without a word. You both step inside and stop. It's exactly as it was. The quilt you used to tease him about the 1-2 floral for someone so otherwise austere still draped over the bed. The little shelf of books beside it, with a half-finished volume turned face down and a pressed flower between the pages. Your scarf, your old scarf, the one you forgot here years ago, still tucked over the chair as though waiting for your return. Your throat tightens. You touch it. It's real. The fabric still holds your scent long buried, but unmistakable, like a version of yourself you'd long stopped believing in. You turn slowly, and then you see it. The desk. Small, sturdy. The one he wrote letters at. One drawer slightly open. You move toward it before you think. Your fingers touch the wood, and suddenly, the room isn't the room anymore. You're sitting in his lap, laughing, the desk covered in crumpled paper. He's trying to write something serious, and you're being no help at all. You're both younger, softer. The world hadn't tilted yet. You kiss his cheek. He tries to pretend he's annoyed, fails. You crumple another paper ball and say, "Write something real for once." And he says, without looking at you, "Everything I write for you is real." The memory passes. The desk is just a desk again. You open the drawer. Inside, letters. Stacks of them, all unopened, all addressed to you. You freeze. One by one, you pull them out. Each one is dated after the night you left. Each one written in his hand. "I don't remember these," he whispers beside you. You glance at him. "You wrote them, but I never sent them. They're here." You flip one open. Read. "I waited again today. The snow didn't fall. I thought maybe that meant something. Maybe it meant it was over, that whatever part of me still hoped would finally dissolve. But it didn't. Not yet. The part of me that's yours won't let go." Another. "Do you remember the way the light looked through the trees in November? I do. I think about it more than I should. I think about the way you stood just beyond it, like the sun couldn't touch you unless you allowed it." Another. "Some days I rewrite the moment under the tower. I imagine you stayed. I imagine we went home. I imagine we grew old. Some days I almost believe it." Tears slide silently down your cheeks. You don't remember crying. You don't remember starting to read aloud either. But now your voice is shaking, carrying the weight of words never spoken, heartbreaks never shared. He sits on the edge of the bed, watching, not speaking, because there's nothing to say. The letters speak for both of you. They are your missing years, your secret history, everyone a bridge you never crossed. Until now, you stop at the final envelope. It's different, smaller, no date. Inside, one sentence, written in a trembling hand. "If she ever finds these, it means I'm still waiting." You lower the paper slowly, and then you sit beside him. Your shoulder touches his, and for a while you both stare into the quiet. "You never stopped writing," you say. "I didn't know I had." You nod. The house groans again. A candle flickers out, and then he asks softly, "Do you think this village was made from love?" You look at him. "No," you whisper. "I think it was made from unfinished love." And he nods, because you both know that's why it's still here. Not to trap you, but to give you another ending. You take his hand again, and the letters remain on the desk. Unburned, unburied. Finally read. You sleep beside the fire that night. Not because there isn't space in the bed, there is. He offered it with a gentle hand and a soft question. No pressure, no expectation. But the fire felt like where you were meant to be. So you curled on the floor beneath the old quilt, your back warmed by the flames and your front cradled by the scent of cedar smoke and worn wool. You fell asleep to the sound of his quiet breathing from the other room and the occasional soft whisper of a candle dying out. The dreams were strange. Not nightmares, not visions, just layered things. Familiar rooms filled with unfamiliar shadows. People you almost recognize stepping through doorways you've never seen. At one point, you see a version of yourself younger, brighter, running through the snow with someone you know is him, and yet it's not quite him. And then a voice. Not yours, not his. Someone older. I remember you. You wake with that sentence echoing in your bones. It's morning, but the snow still falls. The sky is pearl-colored now, the kind of light that erases sharp edges. You sit up slowly, blanket tangled around your legs. The fire has burned down to embers. He's not in the room. The clock on the mantel reads 9:16. The village is still. You rise, dress, splash your face with melted snow in the basin by the door. You need air. You step outside, scarf tucked high around your chin, and the cold kisses your skin like a promise. And then you hear it again. I remember you, but this time it's not in your head. It's behind you. You spin. A man stands near the edge of the square, leaning on a cane, his coat dusted with snow, his face deeply lined. He's bundled up like he's part of the landscape itself, gray and white and soft and tired. But his eyes, they are wide, alive, staring at you like a miracle. You walk toward him cautiously. He smiles not with teeth, but with something older, something gentler, like he's waited so long to do, so he's almost forgotten how. You came back, he says, like it's the most obvious thing in the world. You pause. I'm sorry. Do I know you? Not yet, he says, but I know you. You glance behind him. The square is empty. Only the wind moves. He shifts his cane and nods toward the chapel. Let's sit. You hesitate, but something in your chest leans forward. You follow him. He moves slowly, each step deliberate, the kind of gait that has walked these paths more than a lifetime. Inside the chapel, the air is warmer than it should be. There's no fire, but it glows faintly, as if the walls themselves remember heat. You both sit on the same pew. He exhales a long, slow breath. You were always a little late, he says, not unkindly. You turn to him. You really do know me. He nods. Everyone in this village remembers you, even the wind, especially the snow. You feel your throat tighten. But I don't remember you. That's all right. You weren't supposed to. Not yet. Who are you? He smiles again. Just someone who stayed. You wait. And eventually he adds, I came here a long time ago, longer than it seems. To visit. He shakes his head. To disappear. That lands heavier than you expect. He looks toward the front of the chapel. The candle from last night is still burning. I was like you, he says, full of questions, full of guilt, running from something I couldn't name. I stumbled in during the snow, found the village, found people who remembered me better than I remembered myself. You study him, his coat, the way he grips the cane not just for support but for anchoring. Are you alive? You ask. The question surprises you, but he doesn't seem offended. Not like you, but not like a ghost either. You blink. He nods toward the snow drifting past the stained glass. This village, it's made of moments that won't let go. People, promises, echoes. Some of us are echoes with breath. Some of us are breath with nothing left to echo. But we're all here. You whisper. Why? Because you came back. You don't understand. He sees it in your face. Things here, they hold, he explains. Love, regret, guilt, desire, longing strong enough to bend time, And when someone like you returns someone who was meant to choose love but got pulled from it, it stirs everything. You feel your heart pounding. Pulled from it, you repeat. He nods. Someone changed my memory, you say quietly. I didn't realize it until yesterday, but I was pushed, turned away, whispered to. His voice is gentle. Fear is very persuasive. Are you saying I was manipulated? I'm saying something wanted you to leave. You go still. Something, you repeat. Someone. You feel your chest go cold. The man continues, slowly, as if walking a line that might vanish beneath his feet. There's a price for this village, for what it holds. Sometimes, to protect it, it rearranges things, moves people, erases, rewrites, keeps the story from ending too soon. That's not protection, you say. That's theft. Yes, he agrees, but only until someone finds their way back. You look down at your hands, at the skin that still holds the imprint of his, at the letters you left behind, at the time you lost. What do I do with all of this? You whisper. The old man looks at you, and for the first time you see something in his eyes, something familiar, not in the sense of recognition, but in the way the snow feels familiar. He reaches into his coat, pulls out a small object, and places it in your hand. A pocket watch. Simple. Worn. The cover clicks open. Inside, the hands are moving. The time 7:46. Then 7:47. He closes your fingers around it. Says softly, don't let them stop it again. You leave the chapel slowly, the weight of the watch warm against your palm. The old man doesn't follow. You look back once, but he's already gone, as if he was never there, as if he's only ever been where he was needed. The snow falls again, a little harder now, but your heart doesn't falter, because this time you're not just walking towards someone. You're walking toward the ending you were meant to write together. You stand just outside the clock tower again. The sky above you is heavy with clouds the color of bruises. The snow has paused, holding itself in the air like it too is waiting for something to fall, truth, time, memory. You press the pocket watch the old man gave you against your chest. The tick-tick-tick is faint, but it's there, constant, defiant. A heartbeat carved in brass. The wind lifts the edges of your coat, whispering past your ears like something trying to speak but lacking a voice. And then you feel it. Not the cold, but the pull. Like a thread behind your ribs has been caught and is being reeled slowly backward. You close your eyes and let it happen. You do not fall. You dissolve. The clock tower vanishes. The square fades. And then the world reforms itself in shades of memory, color bleeding into snow and stone. You're standing at the base of the tower again, but not now. Then, that night, you know it immediately. The light is thinner. The rain, not snow, is falling in heavy, slanting sheets. You can feel it on your skin, seeping through the old coat you wore back then. Your boots squelch in puddles as you move, hesitating, uncertain. You are yourself, but younger, and you are watching yourself from behind. You the now, you are unseen. The rain slides down your cheeks, and you see your younger self standing at the edge of the green staring at him. He's waiting, just like he said. The ring is in his coat pocket. His shoulders are hunched forward against the cold, but his eyes are bright, scanning the paths for you. He hasn't seen you yet. You, the younger you are, only a few paces away. And then, it happens. The moment you couldn't name. The voice. Soft, familiar, coaxing. But now you hear it clearly. A woman. not someone you recognize. She steps forward out of the shadows near the chapel, her figure long and willowy, draped in a pale coat that doesn't seem to absorb the rain at all. Her hood is up, but her face is clear. Kind eyes, thin mouth, a face made for trust. She speaks softly, stepping up beside your younger self. You don't have to go to him. Your younger self flinches. You'll only hurt each other, the woman continues. Who are you? The younger you asks. The woman smiles. Someone who sees more than you do. And the words, they're so close to what you were already afraid of. That's how she did it. She didn't invent the fear. She fed it. You're not ready for this kind of love, she says. Don't you want more time to find out who you are? Don't you want to be sure? Wouldn't it be safer to walk away now, before it hurts more later? Each sentence falls like a droplet into a full cup. And then she reaches out, places her hand on your younger self's shoulder. And in that moment, you see it. Not metaphor, not suggestion, but magic. A shimmer at the point of contact. Barely visible, a ripple, a pull. And something in your younger self breaks. The expression changes. Something goes hollow. The love is still there, but the will to speak it, to walk toward it, to choose it gone, replaced with silence. And the woman steps away, merges with the shadows, gone before the younger you even registers her absence. Your breath catches. You turn. You're in the moment now, the same time, but as your present self, you can move again. Speak. You step forward, your boots splashing into the same puddles, but with different weight. He's still waiting beneath the tower, still unaware, still whole. You run toward him. Faster. You reach the point where the younger you once turned away, and this time, you step through. Time wavers. Rain halts mid-air. The droplets freeze, suspended. The world around you stops. Only you, only him. You reach out, place your hand over his heart, and say his name. His eyes blink, shift, and then he sees you, not as a stranger, not as a ghost, as you. His expression flickers with disbelief. You press your forehead to his. I remember now. His breath catches. I saw it, you whisper. I saw what she did. I saw how I was pulled away from you. He doesn't speak, doesn't move. You step back, just enough to look him in the eyes. I never truly chose to leave, you say. I thought I did, but someone made me doubt myself, doubt you. He nods once, slow. I felt it, he says, that night, like the moment turned cold. You grab his hands, pull them between yours, and slowly the rain begins to fall again. This time, not heavy, just a drizzle. The village reshapes itself around you. Not past, not future, somewhere between, a crossroads. And you speak the words you didn't get to say. I would have stayed. He closes his eyes. You still can. And with those 4 words, the sky opens, not with snow, not with rain, but with light, pure, bright. The air shimmers. And then the voice returns, not the woman's voice this time, but the old man's, gentle, close. You've stepped through the memory, he says. You've unhooked it from pain. You turn. He's there, standing at the edge of the square, his cane now held lightly, no longer needed. The village can rest, he says. You blink. Rest? He nods. It was never meant to hold so many regrets. You feel the snow return then, not falling, but lifting. rising around you like mist, like smoke, like something returning to sky. And beside you, he watches too, silent, steady, still, your hand in his. And for the first time, you believe you're free. You're standing in the middle of the village square, but it no longer looks like it did. Everything has softened. The lines of the cottages, the stones beneath your boots, the lanterns on their iron arms all appear less fixed, like the snow is unspooling the world gently thread by thread. The sky glows faintly gold, though no sun is visible. Not day, not night. Something in between. Beside you, his hand remains in yours. Not gripping, just present, like the only thing in the village still willing to be real. You look around and see the world blur like breath on glass. You said the village can rest now, you murmur, turning to where the old man had stood. But he is gone. No cane, no footsteps, no farewell. Just you and him, and the question still hanging in the air like the last flake of snow. What happens now? You ask softly. He looks at you and smiles, not wide, not eager, just warm, the kind of smile someone gives when they're waiting for you to finish a sentence you haven't spoken in years. I don't know, he says. You nod once, because that's true. Even after all of this, the letters, the truth, the memory peeled back to its raw core, you don't know what comes next. You're not who you were when you entered this place. You're not the girl who ran, or the woman who forgot, or even the figure walking in silence behind the stranger with the scarf. You're someone who remembers now, fully, and because of that, you have a choice again. I was supposed to say yes that night, you say. He doesn't correct you. You look down at your joined hands. I never told you why I ran, you continue. His gaze stays steady. Tell me now. You hesitate. Because even now, even after all you've uncovered, the confession tastes like fear. But you give it anyway. I didn't believe I could love you the way you loved me, you say. Not then. I didn't think I had it in me to hold something that pure without damaging it. His face softens, but he doesn't interrupt. I thought love meant I had to be perfect, you whisper. And I wasn't. I knew I wasn't, so I left before you could see it. He exhales slowly. I saw it, he says. Your eyes flick up to meet his. All of it, he continues. Even the parts you were trying to hide. And I still waited. You feel something crumble in your chest, but not in a breaking way. In a release. Like a wall folding gently inward. You swallow hard. He lets go of your hand, only so he can reach into his coat. He pulls out a small object. You know it before he opens his fingers. The ring, the one from that night. Still simple, still gold, still waiting. He doesn't kneel, doesn't speak. He just holds it in his palm, offering. This time, the silence is yours to fill. And you do, with the vow you never got to speak. I didn't choose fear this time. He nods. I came back. Yes, I saw the truth. You did, and I want to stay. The snow catches the light around you like fireflies held still. You lift the ring from his palm, and this time, you place it on your own finger, not because you weren't offered it, but because now you know it's yours. You look up at him, and he's smiling. The village exhales. Literally, the sound is subtle but unmistakable. A long breath let go, a soft rustle through the eaves. The snow stills midair, and then begins to rise, slowly, as if the snowfall has reversed, lifting, ascending, curling upward into a sky that now holds more light than shadow. You turn slowly, watching it all lift. The rooftops blur, the chapel softens, the clock tower fades. It's all going, not like something being taken, but like something being set free. You look at him again, and your voice trembles. Are we leaving too? His eyes are gentle. We already have. And that's when you realize you're no longer standing in snow. You're standing on grass. The first blades of spring push up through earth damp with thaw. The air smells of something new. And above, the sky has turned blue. The village is gone. You and he stand on the hillside where it used to be. Beneath you, just a quiet stretch of field and trees. The world has remembered what season it is. You're holding hands, the ring still warm on your finger. You glance over at him, blinking against the brightness, and he is still there, not fading, not dissolving, still solid, still real. You whisper, "Is it really over?" "No," he says, "just beginning." You watch the wind curl through the grasses, and then he points. There, in the distance, a small cottage. Not the same as before, but not entirely different. Familiar, somehow. Waiting. "I think we're meant to live now," he says. You nod. You don't speak again. You walk toward the house together, and behind you the last flake of snow melts into the soil. The cottage is waiting, set just beyond the tree line, tucked into the slope of the hill like it grew from the earth itself. Its roof is mossy in places, sunlit in others, and the door is painted a shade of green that makes your chest ache for reasons you can't quite name. You reach for the handle together, not out of ceremony but rhythm, and step inside without knocking. There is no one else here. It's only for you, and you know that before you even cross the threshold, the warmth is immediate, not from a fire, though there is one flickering in the hearth, not from sunlight, though it spills in golden stripes across the floor, but from something older, a welcome that doesn't need words. He steps in behind you, and the door closes on its own, not with a thud, but a hush, like even the wind knows what this moment means. You stand at the center of the room, surrounded by unfamiliar furniture that feels like it's been waiting to become familiar. A chair beside a half-read book, a table set for two, a window cracked just enough to let in the scent of lilacs, though the flowers aren't in bloom. It's a new place, and yet your body remembers it, like it was promised to you in another life. He walks to the mantel and lifts a small brass object, a clock, not ticking. He winds it once, gently, and it stirs to life. The time, 7:47. You smile. "It's always then, isn't it?" you say softly. He looks at you. "No, not anymore." You cross to the window. Outside, the trees sway in an easy breeze. No snow. No trace of it at all. The village is gone. Not buried. Not hidden. Just let go. Released. You press your hand to the glass and whisper, "Do you think the snow remembers?" He joins you, his shoulder against yours. "I think it remembers everything, even the parts we wanted to forget, especially those." You nod slowly. Your breath leaves a faint cloud on the glass, even without the cold. Then you ask the question that's been blooming in the quiet corners of your heart. If it all really happened, the letters, the time that stopped, the voices in the wind, does that mean we were meant to end up here, or that we just made it mean something? He's quiet for a moment, then says, "Maybe both." You look at him. He continues, "Maybe we don't always get to choose how a story begins, but we get to choose the shape it takes after we remember how it mattered." You nod again, slower this time, and your eyes fill with tears, not sorrow, not regret, but something quieter, something that feels like grace. You walk into the kitchen just to see it. The kettle is already full, the cups already set out. You laugh, a little startled. He raises an eyebrow. You gesture. This place really does know us. He grins. Finally, something in this world that does. He sits at the table while you pour the tea. It's just like before you moving around a small kitchen, him watching like it's the first sunrise he's ever seen. But it's not like before, because now there's no rush, no silence full of unsaid things, no storm waiting just outside, just steam rising from two mugs, and the sound of a world moving forward. You carry the tea to the table and sit across from him. He leans forward slightly, both hands wrapped around the mug. Then he says, "Tell me something about yourself I don't know." The question stops you for a second, because so much time was lost, so much went unsaid, and still you feel as though he knows the bones of you better than anyone else ever could. You tilt your head. "I learned how to be still," you say. He watches you. "In the years after," you continue, "I kept looking for something to chase. Work, cities, people, even noise. Anything that could fill the space you left, but none of it worked. Eventually I stopped running. I let the quiet catch up." He nods slowly. "Was it terrible?" he asks. You think for a moment. "No," you say. "It was worse. It was kind. Like the world was waiting for me to come back to myself." He leans back, smiling faintly. "I'm glad you found your way." "I didn't," you say. "The snow did." You drink in silence for a few minutes, listening to the wind roll over the roof. Then he speaks again. "I wrote you a story," he says. Your eyes meet his. "When?" "Every year." Your chest tightens. You don't remember writing the letters. "No," he says, "but I remember the stories." He rises, walks to a low shelf, and returns with a small worn notebook. Sets it in front of you. The pages are filled with neat handwriting, no titles, just lines of dialogue, fragments of memory, little scenes. You open to a page in the middle and begin to read. She stands at the edge of the frozen pond, not skating, not waiting, just remembering. She isn't afraid of falling anymore. The ice is thin, so is time, but neither one cracks. You flip forward. They sleep under a roof made of snow, whispering words neither of them spoke when it mattered. But the snow doesn't mind. The snow forgives. You stop reading, close the book gently. Tears roll down your cheeks. He reaches across the table and covers your hand with his. You look at him and say, "These were all about me." "No," he says, "they were about us." Outside, the light begins to shift. Late afternoon now. Golden. Easy. You both rise, move to the front door, and step outside. The hill stretches before you. Beyond it, forest, meadow, the edge of a world neither of you have lived in yet. He looks at you, and you nod. You'll go, wherever it leads. And the wind carries the last line of the story you never finished writing. If the snow remembers, then so do I. The hill rolls out before you like the last line of a story, gentle, golden, unhurried. The grass is dry and sweet beneath your boots, and in the hush between wind gusts, you can hear something that almost sounds like the village breathing. Not a ghost, not a farewell, just a sigh of something that no longer needs to hold on. You stand beside him in the waning light. There are no roads here, no signs, only direction, and that, somehow, is enough. You take his hand again, not because you're afraid, not because you're uncertain, but because every step forward feels more honest when it's shared. He squeezes once, just once, and then you begin to walk down the hill, past the place where the chapel once stood, where the bell tolled for regrets that no longer belong to you. The sky above turns the color of a lullaby soft pink, fading violet. The clouds melt into stars too early to be bright. Everything around you exhales. And ahead, just at the edge of the tree line, you see it. Snow, not everywhere, just a patch, as if one small corner of winter had refused to leave. You pause, heart stilled. The snow doesn't shimmer, doesn't swirl. It just waits. You walk to it slowly, together. The patch lies in the shadow of a tall birch tree, its bark pale and ribboned, its roots still holding the shape of the old village beneath the soil. He lets go of your hand for the first time since the clearing, steps forward, and kneels. The snow glows faintly in the dusk. And then, with a breath you barely hear, he begins to trace something into it with his fingers. You watch, still and quiet, as letters form. Your name. He writes it with care. Each stroke a memory, each curve a vow remade. When he's finished, he steps aside and looks at you. No words, just waiting. You kneel beside him, place your fingers beside his writing, and slowly, gently begin to write his name beneath yours. Not as an afterthought, not below it, but as part of it, a mirror, an answer. When you finish, you sit back. Your names glow in the snow, unmoving, unmelting. You reach into your coat pocket, fingers brushing something unexpected. Paper. You pull it free, a folded square you've never seen before. Inside, a single line. When the snow speaks your name, answer it. You look up. The stars begin to appear. Not sharp, not dazzling, just soft, like promises. You stand. He does too. Together, you walk through the patch of snow. As your boots press over the names you wrote, the letters do not vanish. They remain, even as the wind picks up, even as the grass returns beneath your feet, even as you leave winter behind. You keep walking, and somewhere far behind you, the snow lifts for the last time, taking the village with it. Not lost, not gone, just resting. And in the final breeze that passes over your shoulder, you hear something. So faint, so familiar, you smile without turning back. Your name, whispered not by sorrow, not by regret, but by love itself. You walk on, toward morning, toward a life that remembers, toward a world that will ask no questions of how you got here, only who you choose to be now. And you know the answer, because this time, you stayed.